Thank you for joining us.
Tonight on Newswatch, severe thunderstorms are making their way towards southeast Ohio. Newswatch forecaster Emily Dietz tells us what's headed our way. Plus, the Nelsonville Music Festival kicks off today. We speak to one of the organizers. And in sports, the Ohio football team is looking for a better outcome in Detroit this fall. Newswatch reporter Aiden Crowley is in Detroit with the latest. Newswatch starts right now. A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect for northern portions of southeast Ohio. Good evening, I'm Haley Hollinger and welcome to Newswatch. Here with more on these alerts is Newswatch forecaster Emily Dietz. Emily?
Good evening. We're looking at warnings and watches all over Ohio right now. We have a severe thunderstorm watch for a lot of central and northwest Ohio, but we're expecting that area to expand as these systems begin to develop. We're seeing severe thunderstorm warnings just to the northeast of Bellefonte. Now we're going to take a quick look at our live radar right here. We have a big system sitting to the north and to the to the west of us here. We've got a big low pressure right here, and attached to that is a cold front that's extending through Indiana. Now what happens is we have a lot of warm, humid air during the day, and when that warm, humid air interacts with that cold air is moving a lot faster, so it forces that warm, humid air that's already unstable to rapidly rise, creating these unstable conditions and possibly creating some circulation. Now I've seen thunderstorm warnings all over near Lima and up in northern near Cleveland area as well as Sandusky, but we're going to expect these storms starting to move in later this evening. So if you live in the Canton area, we're going to see those storms start to fire up around 7, 8 o'clock. But right now we're going to see some sunny skies down here in southeast Ohio near Athens and Zanesville. But that's because these storms are expected to come in if you're in Zanesville or central Ohio area closer to 10 o'clock, whereas if you're in southeast Ohio, we're looking at those storms coming in near closer to midnight. And we're expecting these risks to include hail as well as strong winds, not too much flooding in the area as well, since these are going to be very pop-up, relatively brief showers, but we also can't rule out the possibility for a tornado. So with these storms moving in, we may also see some rotation going on. So make sure you know where your safe places are, and make sure you have your devices charged for any incoming thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings. Be sure to stay up to date with us later this evening as we go over all of this storm coverage. So if you're in these areas that are glowing red right now, even though it's clear outside, you're under severe storm watch. So be advised and be sure to stay tuned for more weather updates this evening.
Thanks, Emily. A caregiver in Scioto County is awaiting trial following charges of neglect and patient abuse. Jamie Addington was arrested on the 18th of July and appeared in Portsmouth Municipal Court today. The 35-year-old is charged with the 2nd and 4th degree felonies, 5 counts of patient abuse, and failing to provide for a functionally impaired person. Scioto County Sheriff David Thurman says the investigation is still ongoing and may result in more charges. Addington is currently being held at the Scioto County Jail on a $60,000 bond. Last night, the Athens County Library Board meeting was standing room only. Dozens of people spilled out into the hallway to voice their support for the library system after a letter to the editor in the Athens Messenger. The letter published earlier this month accused the system of promoting a, quote, gay agenda with its displays up for Pride Month. Community members in attendance disagree with that accusation, saying it is a public library's duty to provide materials for every member of the community. The library agrees.
When you start banning books, you are stepping on my liberty to let my children read what I believe is something that they need to read.
Trying to exclude from the library views that you disagree with, which we will not do. We've heard today that people want these things in the library.
Tepe says all Athens County public libraries routinely create displays on timely topics of current interest in the community, such as Pride Month. A new poll shows nearly 60% of Ohio voters are against Issue 1. According to a poll from USA Today and Suffolk University, 57% of the 500 surveyed voters oppose the issue, including some Republicans and abortion opponents. 26% of voters support the issue and 17% are still undecided. If passed after the August 8th special election, Issue 1 would require a 60% vote to pass a constitutional amendment, rather than the current simple majority. The issue also would require signatures from all 88 counties for a petition to be put on a ballot instead of just 44. The third annual Community Day of Hope event in Gloucester has just wrapped up. The 3-hour event starting at 3 this afternoon, held at the Trimble High School football field, brought on people of all ages to raise awareness about substance abuse, disorder, and mental health. Up to 40 vendors served at the event, including a variety of local resource centers like Athens Hope, Equitas Health, HAPCAP, and more. Organizers were encouraged by the eagerness of the local organizations to pitch in, saying the biggest concern was the weather. Organizer Sean Stover says they want the Gloucester community to know they have the resources too.
So we wanted to get outside of Athens and go into the Gloucester community because that's a community that we totally support, and it's just a great community. And there are so many needs for this community because of the impoverished area.
The organizers were happy the weather held out for the festivities. And speaking of art, the Dairy Barn Art Center opens a new fantastical exhibit. Illuminated, a bestiary for troubled times opened for public viewing in the Chaddock and Morrow Gallery earlier today. The exhibit features handicraft dragons and other fantastic beasts, all made by 3 local female artists: Danette Pratt, Emily Beveridge, and Erin Hogan. The opening reception event had the Athens Recorder Consort serenading the viewers with medieval music. The beastly artworks are on exhibition from now until September 11th. And coming up after the break, the Ohio Bobcats travel to Detroit for Mac Media Day. Plus, millions across the country are suffering from severe heat and flooding.
We're expecting severe weather to enter Ohio this evening. Be sure to stay tuned to Newswatch for more updates on that.
Did you know that local laws and regulations determine how your estate will be distributed if you don't have a will? Nearly 70% of American adults have incomplete estate plans, and thousands face this problem every day. This season is the perfect time to build out your estate plan and protect the people and programming you care about. Estate planning can seem like a lot to tackle, which is why WOUB Public Media is sharing Free Will, self-help estate planning resources that have empowered more than 350,000 Americans to plan for their futures. An estate plan can help you protect the family, friends, and pets you care most about, plan beneficiaries for your assets, and create a powerful legacy that supports your favorite broadcasting for years to come. To learn more and get started, I invite you to visit freewill.com/WOUB.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
More than 100 million people across the U.S. are under heat alerts, and millions more face the threat of flooding, all while people in North Carolina are beginning to recover after a rare tornado left behind a massive path of devastation. Ivan Rodriguez has the latest.
Destruction for miles in the wake of an EF3 tornado that tore through North Carolina for 16.5 miles for about 30 minutes Wednesday.
There was a debris field that started coming up over the trees in a circular motion.
The rare tornado, not seen in the central part of the state ever in the month of July, also damaging a Pfizer plant, which could intensify the country's already historic level of drug shortages. Meanwhile, in Kentucky, a state of emergency, record rainfall in 24 hours, triggering widespread flooding.
We are not fully out of the woods yet. Multiple rounds of showers and thunderstorms are expected in the region throughout today and through tonight. The main impacts will be damaging winds, lightning, and unfortunately more heavy rainfall.
Across the nation, sweltering temperatures are shattering records. More than 65 high-temperature records could be broken by Saturday. In Arizona, at least 18 people have now died from the heat.
Some people even have temperatures, we've had someone up to 110 degrees, which is not oftentimes very fatal or certainly life-changing.
And people in Las Vegas stuck on a plane for hours in triple-digit heat say something appeared off.
The cabin was pretty warm. I imagine it was much hotter in the back. People were restless. And we got word that people got sick. There was a medical emergency.
Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
And now here's more on the severe weather with forecaster Emily Dietz. Emily?
Good evening. Right now, even though you may be seeing some clear skies like we are now, it's about 88 outside with mostly cloudy skies. Down here in southeast Ohio, we're still expecting some intense storms to move through. We have an enhanced risk for central and northern Ohio, and down here in southeast Ohio, we're looking at a slight risk, and our main threats are going to be strong winds, hail, and even possibly rotation and tornadoes. And right now, we just have an update for you. Severe thunderstorm watches stretching across central and northern Ohio, as well as a severe thunderstorm warning over to our northwest. And we're going to keep you all updated this evening. Now, what's going on is we have a low pressure system sort of sitting over the Great Lakes area, and we had a warm front that moved through this morning. Now, that warm air helped to create a lot of instability since we had a lot of mugginess, a lot of moisture in the air, so that air is already unstable. And right behind it, we have a cold front. And when this cold front, which is a lot faster moving air, a lot dense, meets up with this already unstable air, it creates this lifting going on, which creates all these intense thunderstorms that we usually see right along that cold front. Now, we're going to take a quick look at our radar loop for tonight. We see right now it's really off to the northwest, but tonight we're going to see that really dip down into the evening. Things are really going to intensify if you live near New Philadelphia, near Zanesville, right around Interstate 70. That's where we're going to see a lot of these storms start to go fire up. And we're already seeing reports of penny-sized hail and 50-mile-an-hour winds. So if you live in any of those areas, be sure to stay up to date on your phone for any alerts, and make sure you know where your safe places are, whether that's your basement or the innermost room of your house, in case any tornado warnings are issued. Tonight we're going to see a 70% chance of showers for us down here in southeast Ohio. That's mainly going to be 11 o'clock, closer to midnight. If you live in central Ohio, that's going to be closer to 10 o'clock. But if you live near Canton area, that's going to be closer to 7 or 8 o'clock when we start to see those storms roll in with a low of about 64. Tomorrow will be completely different from today. We're going to see mostly cloudy skies. It'll be slightly cooler than today. We're going to be about 82 as opposed to the upper 80s today. That's because we have that cold front moving through, and that's just going to leave a little bit of cloud coverage behind. And that cold front's really going to take off tomorrow, really pushing towards the east, leaving us with a lot of clearing. We don't really have any systems developing right behind us. We've got a little bit of high pressure, and that's going to create a relatively nice day tomorrow. And on Saturday, we're going to see very similar conditions. Once again, there's no system developing behind it. We've got some high pressure starting to move into the area. We might see a little bit of cloud coverage as we pop up showers here and there. And that's pretty typical for the summer as you have muggy days and heat. That's just going to cause a little bit of convection and a little bit of rain throughout the day. So that'll just be a pop-up shower on Saturday if we do end up seeing any rain. Now, if you're planning on traveling this weekend over in the New England area, that low pressure is really going to intensify. So we're going to see a lot of rain going on. And in the south, we have more low pressure and more rain stretching through. So if you're traveling along the East Coast this upcoming weekend, be prepared for some rainy weather. But other than that, this weekend down here in southeast Ohio is looking pretty nice. Be sure to stay tuned to WOUB for any weather updates this evening.
Thanks, Emily. As severe heat continues to plague the country, health experts warn extremely hot weather can lead to migraines and even make them more severe. Mandy Gaither has more on how to manage migraines in the heat.
Changes in barometric pressure, extremely high temperatures, and the threat of dehydration.
Put that all together, and patients who suffer from migraines will suddenly see an increase in headache or migraine frequency during these events.
Dr. Ahmad Estamalik with Cleveland Clinic says those with constant chronic migraines will most likely require daily medication, injections, or a procedure. But for those who get them less frequently, you can manage migraines by knowing your triggers and avoiding them. And stay hydrated. Estamalik says that alone may eliminate the possibility of a migraine. Finally, turn to rescue medicine as soon as symptoms start. But he cautions not to take those medications too many times a week.
We usually recommend no more than 2 to 3 times, just because for those patients who have migraines, they run the risk of developing what we call rebound headaches if they use abortive medications too often.
And if you're struggling with heat-related migraines, Estamalik says to seek care.
The disorder, despite being very, very prevalent, remains underdiagnosed, misdiagnosed, and often undertreated as well. So again, patients don't need to suffer. Talk to your healthcare provider, your neurologist, or your headache specialist, because there's a lot out there that can make a difference.
For Health Minute, I'm Andy Gaither.
We are in the thick of summer, but it is never too early to start looking ahead to the fall and the football season. Today was the start of football talk for the Mid-American Conference, who hosted their annual MAC Media Day. Newswatch reporter Aiden Crowley joins us from Detroit, Michigan to break down all of today's festivities. Aiden?
Yeah, thanks guys. We are here in Detroit at Fox Theater, where just behind me, some of the greatest musicians of all time took that stage. But today, it was the Mid-American Conference who took that stage for the annual MAC Media Day. And of course, the Ohio Bobcats were in attendance, and they're back in Detroit, maybe with a little chip on their shoulder. Ohio football's hope for a conference crown was cut short in Detroit at the MAC championship game. That curtain closed for the Bobcats, but just 7 months later, they returned to the Motor City to kick off a new campaign. The 12 teams of the Mid-American Conference gathered in the historic Fox Theater to give the media a glimpse at what's to come in 2023.
It's awesome, and there's a lot of great people here. It's a wonderful environment, and it's just getting closer and closer to the season, so it's just getting me really amped up.
Linebacker Bryce Houston was joined by quarterback Curtis Rourke as the 2 representatives for the green and white. Rourke was at the event last year where the Bobcats were in a very different position.
You know, everybody didn't really have that expectation and didn't think that, we were going to be the team we were, and so we had to go prove that and go, show ourselves and stuff each and every week. And now I think there's more expectation on us to have a successful year, and so we got to be that much better this year.
And this year, the focus for Ohio is on the long road ahead.
With any journey, it's who you're traveling with is really more important than a destination, and who we're traveling with in this year's team is going to be super exciting.
That excitement is felt around the conference as the Bobcats were voted as the top team in the MAC East by other MAC coaches. And Ohio's own head coach Tim Albin says the Bobcats will be embracing the challenge.
Hey, we are not going to shy away from them. The football team has earned them, and we are going to take the reins and take the challenge and get after it here in about 5 weeks.
And you hear head coach Tim Albin kind of chuckle there at the end at the realization that the regular season is just 5 weeks away, 37 days to be exact for the Ohio Bobcats, who take on the San Diego State Aztecs in a Week 0 game August 26th. And we spoke with quarterback Curtis Rourke at this event, and he said he's on schedule for a potential return in that game, and we'll keep you updated as we learn more about that situation. But for now, that's all I have here at Fox Theater. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Aiden Crowley.
After the break, the Nelsonville Music Festival begins today. We speak with an organizer about what we can expect this year. And to stay up to date on the latest from Newswatch, check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
What would you want people to know about your story?
The spiritual connection to life allows us to empower ourselves.
We have to not be afraid.
The least that I could do is to fight. Anything is possible. It's joyful.
It was this incredible sense of belonging.
Finally, I wasn't alone.
Knocking me down, but my heart keeps beating.
If you know where you come from, you'll know where you're going.
I know a brighter day will come.
My lovely city became divided.
Every bruise and every scar makes us who we are.
We were brought up in a culture that valued story.
Our stories deserve to be heard.
Okay, what just happened? It's moving. My heart is singing. They could not imagine existence without the buffalo.
There's no gospel without the totality of African American culture.
Our future looks like us telling our stories.
Wow. God, that's satisfying.
One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. This summer.
Welcome back for a second seasoning. This really is about a connection to home for me.
One species is reshaping the world.
This is like being in a candy store for me.
I think the things that unify people in the South are the same things that unify all people.
Cheers.
The annual Nelsonville Music Festival kicks off, excuse me, I'm so sorry, kicks off tonight with live music and art performances expected throughout the weekend. And here to talk more about what you can expect at the festival is Stewart's Opera House's Marketing and Public Relations Director, Dylan Talerski. Thanks for joining us so much, Dylan.
Thanks, Haley.
Thanks. Could you tell us a little more about the history of the Nelsonville Music Festival?
Absolutely. So this is the 17th in-person year of the Nelsonville Music Festival. There was one virtual year during COVID, but it has always been a production of Stewart's Opera House, nonprofit in Nelsonville, and it helps raise money for our year-round arts education programs.
That's great. And what makes the Nelsonville Music Festival different than the other festivals in the area?
I would say it's the community vibe and the community spirit. We have more than 600 volunteers this year coming and helping out. We have nonprofits from the area. We have local food and beverage vendors. So it's just really a huge community effort.
Okay, and so what artists can we expect to see at the festival this weekend?
There's a pretty wide range of artists, something for everyone. If you're into legends, Lucinda Williams is going to be there. If you're into indie rock, we have bands like Big Thief and Alex G and Always and Kurt Vile. I think there's going to be just, something for everyone.
That's awesome. Along with the musical performances, what other activities can people enjoy?
So if you have little ones, we have a giant kids area, which features activities all weekend long, from a big paint by number to kids yoga to an instrument petting zoo. If you're an adult, we have foraging walks and obviously the performances from more than 40 artists. We have artists and vendors for you to peruse around. You can walk around our trails. There's lots to do.
Sounds like a lot of fun. What are some of the challenges that you've experienced when planning such a big event like this?
I mean, there's so many things, so many factors that you can't consider. For example, we've been hearing all about this severe weather, so we're hoping, crossing our fingers, that that isn't going to be the case this weekend. Obviously, wrangling together all of the volunteers. We are in our second year at our new home, so we're still kind of working out some little things along the way, but I'm anticipating a good year.
Okay. What other events should we expect from Stewart's Opera House this year?
Well, we have a couple big upcoming concerts coming up. We have the Paw Paw After Party happening at Stewart's, featuring a bluegrass supergroup called Mighty Poplar. We have the Columbus Symphony coming back in the winter for a Christmas concert. We have all of our arts education programs that we have all year round. So we have some plays coming up. We have the after school music program starting again for the kids. Lots of exciting stuff.
All right, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dylan. We really, really appreciate it. And you can find out more about the Nelsonville Music Festival along with a full list of performances. Head to nelsonvillefest.org. And when we return, we take another look at your weather. But first, here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Here's what's new this month with Passport.
Will, this changes everything.
That's every blues singer in the country was doing that.
In the 1960s,
hip-hop became our voice.
Draw your arrow to the head!
These and all your favorite shows are available with Passport. Support your PBS station and stream more with Passport on the PBS app.
Frank Sinatra was in his prime form for a 1967 TV special. Joined by Ella Fitzgerald.
That's why the lady is a tramp.
And musician Antonio Carlos Jobim.
The girl from Ipanema.
The concert classic.
What now, my love?
Frank Sinatra, a man and his music.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
So, about that garage of yours. Lots of stuff in there, huh? If you want to make serious space, start with the biggest obstacle in sight. Donate that unwanted vehicle, and we'll put it toward more hours of your favorite programs on public television. You might even get a sweet tax deduction, along with space for that ping pong table. Give us a call to learn more. And thanks.
And joining us with the last look of the night at the weather is Newswatch forecaster Emily Dietz. Now, Emily, what can we expect tonight?
Well, tonight is going to be a pretty intense night. We're seeing thunderstorm watches and warnings all across Ohio. If we take a look at our warn and watch system map right now, you can see a lot of central Ohio and northern Ohio. We're seeing thunderstorm warnings and watches. We're going to see this warning system, we're going to see that warning area start to expand as we move throughout the evening. And right now, on our look at our live radar, we're seeing 80-mile-an-hour winds up near Ashtabula right now, and we have a big cold front that's sort of extending right along here. And these storms are starting to expand. They're starting to grow with each other. We're seeing a little bit of rotation that you can see right here. We may be seeing some tornado warnings start to pop up as we move into this evening. What's going to happen is as these storms start to intensify, as they start to grow, they're going to expand. We're going to see a lot more popping up right behind it in this area, and that's what's going to be moving in near Canton, near New Philadelphia, around 7 to 8 o'clock. This evening, maybe pushing 8 o'clock. And then if you're in the Zanesville, Central Ohio area, you're going to see these storms start to move in closer to 10 o'clock. But if you're in Southern Ohio, we may not be seeing as intense storms, but that's going to be a lot closer to 11 o'clock, even into the midnight hours of these storms starting to intensify. We have reports saying to seek shelter now if you're up near Ashtabula or anywhere. So if you see these thunderstorm warnings or these tornado warnings, make sure you go inside, make sure you know where your safe spot is, have your devices charged. Do not try and go outside and take pictures of the storms, because with those 80-mile-an-hour winds, we could see broken branches, we could see a lot of injury if you are in the wrong place at the wrong time with a lot of this going on. And we have this, what happens is with these storms, when they start to convect, is they produce a lot of wind right behind them, specifically in this area right behind it. And that's what's going to happen, is that's going to cause a lot more of this warm, humid air to convect and create more storms right behind it. And that's what we're going to see moving in later tonight. So we've got a lot to look forward to this evening. So make sure you're staying up to date with everything that is going on. So if you're living in any of these areas in here, that's where we're going to see the most possible damage going on this evening. If you live a bit to the south of that, typically the 70 interstate belt, that's really where that divide is going on. We're going to be keeping up to date as much as we can with these storms. Now, a quick look at our 7-day outlook, as we've got a lovely weekend ahead of us for a bad night tonight. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how things turn out.
Thanks, Emily. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Emily Dietz, I'm Haley Hollinger. Have a great night.
Support comes from Snyder Strode Jarrett Financial in Athens, providing investment and retirement planning assistance to Southeast Ohio for over 50 years. Snyder Stroh Jarrett, not just another financial firm. More information at ssj.finance.